So one of the big things that I wanted to go through, I went through a whole list of different mistakes that businesses make, and it took a lot to whittle it down, but I broke it down to 5 basic items that anybody can do to fix their, if there is a mistake being made. I know several here in the room, I have reviewed your websites, and some of these mistakes are not being made. So for those of you that didn't, are pretty much holding it together and doing it right, then this is going to be just a reinforcement of the good things. But to start off, I'm a fan of John Maxwell, the author. I don't know if you've read any of his books, but I like his quote that a man must be big enough to admit his mistakes and smart enough to profit from them and strong enough to correct them. So I'm hoping that at least one of these 5 items we will all be able to benefit from. So first and foremost, this is a common mistake with websites and businesses, small businesses and websites. Build it, and I'm going to have hundreds of hits every day. And it may have worked in the movie, but it doesn't work in real life when it comes to building a website and driving people to it. When you build a brick and mortar, you have the advantage of drive-by traffic. On the web, not so much in that we'll say drive-by traffic that may be, accidentally finding you. So you don't want to leave it to chance. So if you have marketing ability for your website, please take advantage of those things. And marketing a website should not be thought of as running regular advertisements. Marketing online takes on a completely different animal. If you remember from my discussion last time I was here, we talked about how we can drive people to your website from within your business. That's another way that helps build your website traffic, is by bringing people back to your website while they're already in your business. And we looked at the stats last time, and we saw that 35% of people, when they go into your business, they're looking at your website while they're in your business. So that's something to keep in mind. But also when it comes to, you may have heard, Google AdWords. I know several of you in the room use Google AdWords. That is an excellent way of marketing your website, because it's online advertising. That's going to be that instant click. However, every piece of marketing material that you put out should have your web address on it in some form or fashion. If it doesn't, that's something you need to think about, because even something as simple as handing out a business card or handing out a brochure, if your web address isn't on it, that's another missed opportunity. And going back to advertising, the definition, you think you always have to pay for something. Advertising online doesn't always mean that you are paying for something. If you're sending out a press release about something your business is doing, you better have your web address on there. If not a web address, at least an email address. But first and foremost is a web address on whatever you're doing. If you're even a banner made up, if you have the room on the banner to do it, then get your web address at the bottom. So number 2, know what's under the hood. I had an interesting thing happen, and this was top of mind because I ran into a horrible situation with a new client of mine that they came to us and said, hey, we need somebody to just tweak our website. Okay. First thing I normally do is I go and I look under the hood. And under the hood for me is just, and you can do this with your own site. Without getting too technical, go to your web address, take your mouse. If you've got a Mac, then you'll have to hit Control and click. Or if you have a PC, right mouse click, that's the right side button on your mouse, anywhere on your web page, and go to View Source. And what you're going to see is the HTML that makes up the back end of your website. In other words, looking under the hood. Look at the top of the metadata, where it's going to say metadata. You'll see metadata and title, metadata description, keywords. You'll see a list of keywords. The surprising thing for me was, this is a business that has had a website since 2008. I'm not going to mention them. They're not from Barnegat. They are from LBI. I will mention that. I'm building their website. I look under the hood, and their keywords have nothing to do with their business. And I'm not talking about a few words that don't make any sense. The entire description and list of keywords was about a pool company and this was a restaurant's website. So make sure that when you had somebody build your website, make sure they did it right. Make sure that your keywords are there. I did look at a couple of your websites, and I didn't see anybody that really stuck out as far as having wrong information. I noticed a few sites were missing some information under the hood. But these are all important things, especially if you're hiring somebody to do SEO, search engine optimization. There used to be a date and time when keywords on a website were everything. Not so much anymore. However, it is still a very important part of what's under the hood of your website. So make it a routine that if you do hire somebody to build your website, to do this kind of work for you, whether it be SEO work or whatever, make sure you just kind of take a peek at it. You don't have to be the most technical person in the world, but don't let this mistake happen, because you could be losing a lot of organic Google searches getting to your website. And organic means that they're Google searches you didn't pay for. Those rely a lot on keywords and description of your website. So, and another thing to remember about this, that description part of your website, think of it as a commercial for your website. So if that description isn't right, then you're missing another opportunity, because when Google looks at your site, they're going to read that description in the metadata, and that's what, in most cases, will display as that little blurb underneath the link when somebody searches you on Google. So just another thing to keep in mind. So that's a big mistake. You want to make sure you know what's going on under the hood. This, if you remember our last time when I was here, we talked about marketing to multiple screens. And this, I'm not going to go too far into this because we did cover this last time. And if you missed any part of last time I was here, it is on my homepage at wwninteractive.com. The full presentation from last time that I was here talking about marketing to multiple screens. But again, I'll reinforce the fact that more and more people are going to your websites from a mobile device or a tablet. So keep that market, that segment of your audience in mind when you are designing your website. One of the things that we do now when we offer a website to a client, we don't even give them the option. It's like, okay, here's what you're getting. You're getting a responsive design website that can be seen on multiple devices, whether it be on a computer screen, you know, a phone or a tablet. It's all about experience. So then the next thing, I may, you know, kind of try to be whimsical with some of these titles, but it is true. You want to be social with your business. And social media, you know, everyone can throw around the term, get on social media, get on social media. And if you really don't know what that means, you're still no better off than you were before when you weren't active or you know, when you look at that. So the key thing about social media is to not look at it as advertising. If you look at social media as advertising, you're setting yourself up to fail, because social media, being the word social, is all about conversation and relationship. So what you're doing in social media is all about building a relationship. So first off, if you're not socially active in social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, then you need to take the leap and get there, because that's where a majority of people are. Now, I know some people are throwing around the term that Facebook is dead. No one goes to Facebook anymore. That's a small majority, because Facebook is still the predominant social network. However, one that is definitely taking the world by storm, and you may say to yourself, well, how can I use this for my business? Instagram. Instagram is an excellent social network from the point of view of sending somebody a picture of what you're doing. It may not work in every situation, but whether you're doing retail or you have a service-driven business, you can post pictures of either jobs you've recently completed. If it's a retail, a friend of mine has a friend in Philadelphia who has an antique shop. I don't know the exact name of the store or anything if you want to frequent it, but what he does is every time that he has a new product come into the antique shop, he snaps a picture of it, and in most cases, he's got it sold before he even puts it out onto the showroom floor because he posted it to Instagram, and all his followers get to see that picture before it even got out to the, to his customers out on the floor. So Instagram may seem like it's just like, oh, that's just the social network for people to share vacation photos or people to be all artsy with their phones and stuff. And I know a lot of people pick on the fact that my son, he takes his phone and he's doing all kinds of fancy stuff, and you look at it and it's very artistic, but it can also be used as a great marketing tool as long as you're not posting pictures of ads. It's not about advertising. It's about building relationship. Let radio, television, and newspaper worry about the advertising. Social media is all about the relationship. So, and Twitter, Twitter is an interesting animal because there are some people who love Twitter, there are some people who don't get Twitter, and there's some people that hate Twitter. Twitter, as long as you understand it for what it is, it's a great tool. Think of Twitter as, we used to call it micro-blogging, or just that instant thought. Sometimes all your Facebook followers don't care about this little tiny thing, but your Twitter followers do. So Twitter is all about the short message. Facebook is about a longer conversation, whereas Instagram is all about showing people something. So perhaps they can all work in concert depending upon your type of business. And then I had to break up number 5 into 2 segments. I use an analogy of beer because you don't want to pinch too many pennies when it comes to designing your website. You may have $1 million showroom and your website may not represent that. So you want to make sure that your website looks and functions as well as somebody going into your showroom and seeing your business. Because 9 times out of 10, we saw the stats last time I was here, they're going to your website first. So if you're not impressing them when they come to your website, then there's less of a chance of somebody actually coming to your brick and mortar business and seeing what's going on. Now the second part that I want to talk about also kind of ties in with saving some money, but this is a big one, and if you knew how much time I spend in dealing with this issue before I can even start building someone's website, it drives me crazy. If there is one thing about my business that I hate to use the word, but hate about interactive, is this part of web design. And that is, I can give you the scenario. You get a phone call. Hey, for $1,000, we'll build you a website, we'll get you a domain name. Sounds great. Okay, sign me up. You give them a credit card number. Next thing you know, you've got a website. A few years go by, you need a new website, or you want to change something on your website. You call up that same person, no one answering the phone, not even a return email, and then you've got a piece of real estate that is your .com. So it's as if I just said to somebody, oh yeah, you can have BillClanton.com. Build it for me, yes. But then never give me control of it. So this company keeps control of your domain name. So you go to build a new website. Well, wait a minute, that's my domain name. No, it's not. If this other company set it up in their name, you now then, I actually just had to deal with legal issues. I had to actually go through GoDaddy and submit a cease and desist to the previous domain owner for one of my clients to just be able to start working on their website. It was ridiculous. The going back and forth, the previous web guy would not return phone calls, would not return emails. It got ugly. And this is I cannot stress this enough. Out of all 5 mistakes, if you made 1 through 4.5, you could survive. You make this, and somebody takes your domain, and let's just say you did the first part where we wanted to tell people about the website. You dump all this money into marketing one domain, and then you find out that you don't own that domain. That can get it can be a very difficult situation. So I don't want to see any other businesses deal with this. And you know what? It happens too many times than I'd like to admit when I'm dealing with other businesses. I've had to deal with at least 3 major cases of this scenario in the past 6 months. When we advertise our business, we say website recovery. That is something we do, and that's one of the areas. The other side of it is, okay, you've got control of your domain name, but you've got a website that you don't know how to control. Make sure you keep all documentation about your website, and storing it in an email is not storage, because email is very volatile, and it's not meant to be a filing cabinet. I know I'm one of those people that hates paper, but you know what? If there's an important password or an important bit of information, at least a contact person about your website, print it out, throw it in the back of the filing cabinet, just so you know it's there. But it has been one of those thorns in my side when I go into, oh yeah, we have a website already, and you look at their website, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is great. Do you have your access? How can I get access to it? I pretty much, in 2 cases, we've just had to blow up their old website. Once we fought and got control of their domain name, and that is not it's not a fun process, I'll put it that way. But once we got control of their domain name, then we were able to move ahead, but we had to start from scratch. And that's unfortunate, especially if somebody has a lot of money invested in their website. Let's just say you've got photo galleries of tons of photos that you may have uploaded over the years, or tons of articles. Let's just say you have a content-driven website. If you don't have control or access to that, that can be very, very dangerous. So those are pretty much the 5 big things. There's a lot of mistakes that can be made online, but those were the 5 that I kind of picked out that are probably the easiest to fix, with the exception of the last one there, but probably the most important that each of us can do on a daily basis to make sure. So any questions on anything? If anybody does have any questions after the fact, I'll be here at the end of the meeting. Oh,
Bill, we've been very successful using Facebook, our business page on Facebook. And basically we post new arrivals or something old that's not been on as a new arrival at least 4 or 5 times a week.
that's good.
Do you have Instagram?
No, I don't have time to do everything, and that's the other
Well,
problem.
one of the things you can do, because we're all about making things easier, you can actually set up your Instagram to automatically post to Facebook as well.
Okay.
So you would post it to Instagram, and at the same time it goes to Facebook. So you're already doing one step. We can put one more step in the middle that is transparent, that will make it so that it goes to both places, and then just throw a couple QR codes around the place. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook.
Because you put a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
So
Sure
that
do.
would be really nice.
Yeah, and you've got the perfect business for that type of scenario. Yeah.
What's the most effective way of like socializing, to build your business on Facebook? Is it, I have networking groups that I belong to that encourage you to check in when we're at a place, when we're at a restaurant, when we're at an event. I have the advantage, I'm an Aetna employee, so I have the advantage of taking things from Aetna, like FYIs on healthy eating, like that type of thing, and post those. What's the most effective way of, building your business and socializing? Is it the check-ins or the FYIs, or?
It's a combination of both. It's all about consistency. It's finding that thing that works with your audience, that you get response from. And sometimes it takes a little time to get that down. But once you have something, whether it be, like you said, the FYIs or checking in, as long as it's something that gets a response, or, you know, so if you do something and you get 0 likes, maybe think about something else. But, and that's if you repeat that a few times. But let's just say you put up a post about an FYI and you get a lot of likes, you get a couple comments. That's what you want. You want engagement. So it's a matter of finding the happy medium. In my previous job, we had a Facebook fan page for one of the radio stations that was in excess of 15,000 followers on Facebook, which is, you know, pretty decent for a radio station. Most radio stations average about 5,000. You know, when you're a commercial station. But this station did very well. And one of the things that they did was they posted often, and they posted things that would engage the listener. So in your case, find something that your followers would find interesting, and then post that. Definitely not an advertisement in any form or fashion, you know, but yeah, I would say it's different for every business, but if you find that something's working, continue it.
The other thing that we found is that you cannot post too much.
Right.
Because then, you know, 2 times a day max, but 1 time a day is better to keep the interest flowing.
Yeah, you don't want to flood somebody's timeline because they can get annoying. And then next thing you know, you're unliked.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't want that for your business. But keeping at least top of mind, but not like the annoying in-law that hasn't left yet. That type of thing. Yeah. Any other questions?